finding out that your coupon for a free frozen yogurt has expired is kind of a bummer. I would say that finding out that your progressive icon is actually intolerant and miserable quite publicly is a little more than just a bummer, but leave it to Netflix to be optimistic, huh? Hey y'all, SnarkyJay cosplay here. About a week and a half ago, we had quite a spirited debate, and by spirited debate, I mean I read all of your comments after I essentially ranted into the void for 30 minutes about the incredibly Oscar-nominated film EMILIA PEREZ, starring the miraculously intolerant trans actress KARLA SOFIA GASCON. The woman who inexplicably got mixed up with all this nonsense, Zoe Saldaña, and Selena Gomez, who needs no introduction because I can't figure out how to introduce her anyway.
No funciona ninguna tarjeta. Todas mis cuentas están bloqueadas. Me quiere robar a mis hijos.
So in case you missed that video, here's a quick recap. Karla Sofia Gascon is the star of the film Emilia Perez. And that film, despite being an absolute piece of shit featuring songs like this,
from penis to vagina.
I'm sorry, if I have to live with that stuck in my head while I talk about this film, so do you. It's nominated for 13 Oscars, which is literally more than the other top musical of the year, Wicked, and Karla Sofia Gascon is now the first openly trans woman to be nominated for Best Actress. If she wins, she would be making history. And the issue is that somehow she managed to win in the Best Actress category at Cannes last year, made it through all kinds of press junkets and hype about this movie and how progressive it was and what an amazing story it was, and then like 3 weeks ago somebody discovered a whole host of tweets, including one that I didn't mention in my last video, but we're gonna go over in just a few minutes because the hypocrisy and irony here is at a fucking all-time max. But anyway, despite the discovery of tweets that were anti-Muslim, criticizing of George Floyd, anti-Chinese, even anti-woman, if you can believe that, despite all of those tweets, Karla Sofia Gascon holds her nomination for Best Actress, and it's like nobody has wanted to say anything, which is really interesting because I distinctly remember people being canceled for way less, people losing opportunities to host major events for far less than this person who is somehow still nominated for Best fucking Actress. As if that's fair to all the women who worked to get there and managed to keep their fucking mouths shut about controversial issues. But anyway, Netflix has finally broken their silence on this issue. Netflix's chief content officer, Bella Baharia, recently on a podcast addressed the issue, and this is what she had to say. I think it's really a bummer for the 100 incredibly talented people who made an amazing movie. I don't know what amazing movie we're talking about because Emilia Perez is not an amazing movie.
From penis to vagina.
And if you look at the nominations and all of this awards love that it's received, I think it's a bummer that it's distracted from that. It really has kind of taken the conversation in a different way from this incredible movie that Jacques Audiard, who is an incredible director, has made. I think honestly, Jacques should be glad that the conversation has steered away from actually talking about the movie to talking about the controversy with Karla Sofia Gascon, because last time I checked, this movie makes a mockery of the Mexican people, glamorizes the cartel's violence, and on top of that, his own fucking comments about the Spanish language, which is spoken by a ton of fucking people, were that it was a language of poor people. Essentially, yeah, that sounds pretty f***ing racist. They then proceeded to ask Baharia if they do any sort of vetting process, and she said it's not really common practice for people to vet social tweets that way, which I think is pretty f***ing hilarious because I don't know how many people have been canceled into oblivion or lost opportunities for years because of their tweets, but somehow nobody knew that Karla Sofia Gascon was saying these kinds of things. And you can look up the tweets on your own or you can watch my other video on Emilia Perez, but I want to point out one specific tweet that I didn't analyze but I think is fucking hilarious, and I love that progressive people rarely ever analyze their own hypocrisy. Here's what the tweet said. In reference to the Oscars in 2021, she said, "More and more, the Oscars are looking like a ceremony for independent and protest films. I didn't know if I was watching an Afro-Korean festival. Way to attack two different kinds of people all at once. A Black Lives Matter demonstration. It's starting to feel like Karla Sofia Gascon is really intolerant of everybody, but most specifically of like one section of the population." Or the 8M. Apart from that, an ugly, ugly gala. And see, maybe I was ignorant, but I was unaware what the 8M meant, so I ended up looking it up. The 8th of March is International Women's Day. So essentially, a trans actress was actively attacking the Oscars for looking like International Women's Day and that they were featuring too many women. I'm sorry, am I the only one that sees the hypocrisy in that? And I mean, that's besides the fact that she had already attacked Adele for having fat arms. How about we just leave other women alone? You would think that as a woman, she would believe in supporting other women, but quite frankly, it seems when women are represented or have bigger than average arms, Karla Sofia Gascon takes to Twitter to throw fucking tantrums and attack women for it, which I think is fucking incredible. And then you still expect to keep your nomination for Best fucking Actress. We have to be living in the fucking Twilight Zone here, right? And so the chief content officer at Netflix has the balls to call this a bummer. No, a bummer is when I forget that Polly-O string cheese is buy one get one at Publix. I like to have a little string cheese in my evening. A bummer is when you have a full face of makeup and I smear my fucking mascara. A bummer is when you happen to give a man a compliment on Bumble and he thinks you're being overbearing and decides to unmatch you. Maybe that one was too real and too personal, but it happens. David, why? Those are bummers. Having the progressive icon hero of the first trans actress to be nominated for an Oscar be the single most intolerant person on the fucking planet is way more than a bummer. I would argue that it derails your entire agenda and messaging system in nominating this person for an Oscar for a movie that fucking sucks. But hey, I guess we really can just call it a bummer because at the end of the day, that's all that Netflix has said. And apparently some of the people involved with the film are cutting ties with Karla Sofia Gascon. They're no longer paying for her to travel to talk about the movie or do any more press for it. But I mean, isn't that basically just a slap on the wrist anyway? Before her transition, Karla Sofia Gascon had a very successful career as a man before ever becoming a trans woman. So I'm sure she has more than enough money to pay to get her hair and nails done if she still wants to go to the Oscars. What I think should happen is that if other people get canceled this quickly, being progressive. This is not the poster child for being progressive. Rescind the fucking nomination for Best Actress. Either way, looks like it's a bummer. That's all from me. I've been SnarkyJay. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. For more SnarkyJay, be sure to check me out on Instagram. And if you'd like to support me, this channel, and my content creation, do check out and consider subscribing to my Patreon for exclusive photo shoot sets and cosplay content. I'll add links to all of those in the description below. And let me know your thoughts on Karla Sofia Gascon being a bummer in the comments below.